So as promised, back out at the range. I did 150, that was 140 you saw. Everyone asked. The last 300 rounds or so has been Igman 124 green, and everyone always asks what I'm shooting, but either way, Canik MC9LS. At this point, I'm just running rounds. I know that I was shooting super fast. That's just simply because what more am I doing? I'm trying to get it out to 1,000 rounds without cleaning, without oiling, and seeing if there are any malfunctions. You know, I'm not really, I mean, I've pretty much already proven its accuracy, how fast it is, the amazing trigger, all of those things. So again, I guess on the last one, which would be 150 out to 1,000, I'll talk a little bit more about it, maybe try to slow it down, show some of the abilities, if you will. But at this point, I'm just trying to run the rounds through it. I've done that in super rapid fashion. I had my wife with the mag loader up here loading mags and just running it. And one of the surprising things is that the slide is not overly hot like on the Fuse and the X Macro SIG. And just like the Kimber Mako, it doesn't, I mean, it gets warm, of course, but it ain't so scalding hot that you can't hold it or you get blisters on your hand like those other two. I have 10 in here, 140. I run these 10 flawlessly. That'll be 850 rounds. And again, that's just simply what I am doing. Like, I mean, what is there to talk about? I mean, for whatever reason, people want to see, will a gun run 1,000 rounds without cleaning, out of the box, if you will, without having issues? That's their criteria for trust for some reason. Not totally sure why, but that seems to be the new criteria now. Didn't lock back on the mag, me riding it. You saw a couple of times when I dropped the magazine out, I hit the slide release and it slammed forward. Either way, that's 850 rounds, other than the 3 with the single magazine that I've already mentioned several times in the very first video. Actually, I was filming shorts at the time where the magazine had 17, one in the pipe, and it was so tight that I had to slam it in there, and the slide, I'm assuming, just had so much pressure up there that the slide did not fully come back, thus ejecting the spent cartridge and trying to feed the next one. That happened 3 times in one single magazine. The other magazine it did not happen with, but it has not happened since. So call that a failure if you want. But again, 850 rounds, no oil, no cleaning. Again, I don't understand why that's people's criteria. But another thing I want to address is that I've had a lot of people tell me recently on other guns that I've done that's not necessarily 1,000 round follow-up or how far you can get out without putting, you know, without putting oil in it or without cleaning it. And just on other videos I've done where I have mentioned, you know, during the initial review that I had just taken it out of the box and shot it. I mean, the grief sometimes I catch in the comments section for that, and people think that I do it because of the channel, but I'm just going to be, I want to be transparent about something. Before the channel, when I was buying guns just because I'm fanatical about buying guns, I literally would, because most places I buy guns, they have a range right there. And a lot of cases I would buy the gun, literally walk over to the range, wipe no grease, wipe nothing out of it, put no oil on it, and just shoot it. And I've hardly ever had issues. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about that, about how that it's rare that we have out-of-box problems with guns. I mean, most of them are pretty reliable initially right up front, right? And so people's like, and I think that's just a cop-out personally. I mean, you know, maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe I'll set off a crap storm. I don't know. But I think that's a cop-out. I think what happens in those cases is if you take, say, like the Springfield XD Mod 3 that people were rabid about, or maybe you take this one that sometimes people can be rabid about, or an H&K or something like that, and you take it out of the box and you don't clean it, and it has, and it's just perfect, flawless, Everyone sings your praises. Everyone tells you, oh man, I know that thing's awesome. They're a leader in the industry and all of this other stuff. But if it were to malfunction, immediately they're going to resort to, oh, you really shouldn't be, you really should take the factory grease out of the gun and clean it up and check everything to make sure it's, for function before you take it out to the range. I mean, that's just idiotic, you stupid redneck hick. I'm not, I'm not exaggerating about that either. But again, if it would have ran 1,000 rounds, not cleaning it up and saying as much would not have been a problem. It's not a problem until a gun they love malfunctioned during that 1,000 rounds. Then all of a sudden you need to clean it. But I have rarely done that with. I don't know that I ever have, honestly. I mean, my wife can attest to this. I buy a gun, I take it home, I look it over, add some accessories, put a light on it, take it to the range, I shoot the thing, and I don't clean it up and oil it until after I've shot it the first time. Now, it's not hardly ever 1,000 rounds, it's a couple hundred, but I just don't really have problems shooting a gun out of box. I'm not, yes, I do take it apart and I look and make sure nothing looks broke, the guide rod looks fine, that everything functions and seems safe about the pistol. Of course I do that, but I ain't wiping the grease out of it or none of that stuff like that. I just take it out and shoot it, and I've never had a problem doing that. 850 rounds, Canik MC9LS. This is the two-tone flat dark with the black slide. Everybody says they're having a hard time finding it. Hit me up. I'll send you a link to a couple places that I know currently have it right now. 850 rounds, not an issue so far other than those 3 in the beginning. Loving this gun so far. The Fox Army FXV22 Pro. I'll put a link up in the right-hand corner of the screen right now. Take my word for it. Beat me over the head if I'm wrong. You'll love this optic. Pick it up. Flush mount on this pistol. Also, if you like the wardrobe today, I got the Iron Infidel hoodie here. They also sent my wife some leggings, but she's been having some issues with her knee that she's going to have to get took care of, so she hasn't been able to wear those. But I'll put a link up in the right-hand corner for that as well. Iron Infidel. Go over, check them out. Be sure you do so by hitting the link in the right-hand corner of the screen because it helps me out a ton. Make sure you go over and consider supporting me on Patreon. That would help out a ton in me continuing to sling 1,000 rounds for what I believe to be no reason. I already trust this gun, as I mentioned. Even as dirty as it is, I got my defense ammo and my light right there in the case, and I'm going to put this, if not on my side, certainly in the truck when I leave or in the Jeep when I leave. Again, it helps if you can go over and support me on Patreon. Check me out on Rumble. And as always, make sure you know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. And thanks so much for watching. One of the most important things you can do as far as YouTube is concerned is make sure that you hit the subscribe button. And as always, to God be the glory.